Hello everybody, Ray Pedrosa of the McAllen Cable Network here to talk to you about a very important bond election coming up in November for Hidalgo County. It is a 2012 drainage bond referendum, and here to tell us more about that is Hidalgo County Judge Ramon Garcia and also our City Commissioner Jim Darling, who also serves as the co-chair of the County Judge's Drainage Advisory Committee. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
All right, great. This is very important for Hidalgo County. Coming up in the month of November, early voting gets underway on October 22nd. Talk to us about this $184 million bond referendum coming up.
Right. Well, Ray, in my opinion, it is very important. I've always been of the opinion that the number one issue that we face in Hidalgo County is drainage. We have a huge drainage problem. We need to work on a comprehensive drainage project to take care of it. You know, it's not going to go away. We're always going to be living in a valley, and whenever we get a significant amount of rainfall, unless we figure out a way to get the water out of our area and into the bay, we're going to flood. And you know, we need to start addressing that.
And you know what, unfortunately these drainage improvements are very expensive, and unfortunately we live in an area that's very flat, so we have to get creative, right, to find ways to move the water out of here, right?
That is correct, and we have come up with, we've been probably for over a year, we've been talking to engineers, Army Corps of Engineers and private engineers, and we finally decided to let's get some more people involved, and that's where this gentleman here comes in. He and 24 others, individuals from throughout the county, were appointed to be part of an advisory committee, and they listened to all these engineers and financial people and came up with different ways of addressing the drainage problem with the resources, the reasonable amount of resources that we could get. And we came up with a $184 million bond issue that the voters are going to be deciding whether they want to approve it or not. We're going to, you know, the way I look at my position is we're there to educate, we're there to inform. We have a responsibility to bring up these issues before the public, and that's what we intend to do, to hear from them, say yes or no, you know, up or down on that one issue. It means if they vote yes, it will mean that we're going to have that kind of money to work on our drainage situation, and they will incur a tax rate increase of approximately $25 a year on a piece of property that's worth about $100,000.
All right. Commissioner Darling, talk to us about some of the work that this committee has done and some of the major projects that you're going to address with this bond.
Well, the committee was representative of all different factions in the county. We had city people on it. We've had people representing colonists on it. We've had people representing the industry, the engineers on the committee. So we had a wide spectrum of people on the committee. And I think if you look at the bond issue, you'll see that we took into consideration the needs of the whole county, or at least the whole drainage district from that standpoint. One thing I want to point out, though, is the county drainage district really maintains the outflow from the various drainage systems that are operated by the cities and to a certain extent the county precincts. And so this addresses getting the water out of the county as it's gathered by the local political subdivisions. So it's really important that we recognize that you could have the greatest system in your city. McAllen has a pretty good drainage system in it, but unless you get the water out of the city of McAllen and into Laguna Madre or into the Gulf of Mexico, it doesn't do any good.
And that's why McAllen residents should be supportive of this, right?
Right. There's probably 4 projects in this, the 25 major projects. There's 4 projects that definitely benefit the city of McAllen, 4 out of 25, that help us get more water out of our system into the county system. And then ultimately the big project, the $100 million one, which the judge will explain, is a new Raymondville Drain, which will take all the water gathered in the county and get it to Laguna Madre.
Okay, and talk about that a little bit more, because it's an Hidalgo County bond referendum, but that portion of the work would be done in Beulah County, right?
Well, maybe we didn't name it properly. We should
Okay.
have called it something else. But most of that big canal, that Raymondville, that we've named the Raymondville Drain, is actually located in Hidalgo County, in the northern part of Hidalgo County. And that alone will cost us, we believe, about $100 million. And the other $84 million are going to be to fund the 24 other projects.
All right. And the Commissioner Darling, the $100 million, what type of work is going to be done out there for the Raymondville Drain?
That involves a right-of-way acquisition, obviously, is pretty expensive with a drain that extensive, and then obviously the construction of the drain and culverts for going under the roadways or whatever else other obstacles you have in the drainage path.
Okay.
You know, the city of McAllen found out about their drainage situation during this last hailstorm. As good a system as it has, you know, once the water fell on McAllen, you know, they needed to get it out, and there was no way to get it out. And that's the whole purpose of this drainage improvement, that Raymondville Drain. We're going to build several laterals that will take the water outside of different areas in the county and into the Raymondville Drain to make its way over to the bay. We definitely need it. I'd like to talk about it in terms of Beulah. I was around in '67. Our county was one big lake. And at that time, we had about 150,000 people or less living in the county. And we had less than $250 million worth of property on our tax rolls. And we suffered a tremendous amount of damage, but today we need to figure out a way to protect over 800,000 people living in our county and over $35 billion worth of property. So, I mean, it's very significant, it's very important, we need to address it, and hopefully the community will appreciate and understand that we put a lot of work into it. We're not in the tax increase business. Ever since I ran, the first time I ran, I got elected in 2002. Up to that time, the tax rate had been increased 3 years in a row. Since then, we have not had one tax rate increase because we've been very careful about how we spend our tax dollars. But this project is so important that we felt a responsibility to bring it to the attention of the voter.
All right. And if somebody out there is watching and asking, how much is this going to cost me personally? If they own a $100,000 home in McAllen, how much would it cost them?
$25 a year.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the important parts of this bond issue is that the Raymondville Drain is actually is actually going to be funded two ways. One would be a loan from the Texas Water Development Board, but more importantly, that loan possibly could be paid back by the federal government, 90%. So the $100 million is designated to the Raymondville Drain. The bonds will not be issued and sold unless the federal government commits to paying the 90% portion. Okay. So really, for all practical purposes, it's really a $94 million bond issue, not a $184 million bond issue.
Okay, and the $25 would be over a period of how long? Through the term of the...
Yeah, it probably would be about at least 20 years, probably a little longer.
Okay, very good.
I guess we're getting into the why now, why today.
Right.
Economy is not doing so well, and so many people are hurting more than they were before. Things are beginning to pick up, but the reason we felt it important to do it now is because, well, money is cheap, or cheaper than it's been in my lifetime, and also the fact that the government has committed itself to helping us fund the Raymondville Drain. They've agreed to pay up to 90% of the project. Everything is contingent on what happens during the November 6th elections, perhaps, but if we don't get funding from the government, we will not be spending the $100 million.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that is an important aspect of what we're doing.
Okay.
And part of the commitment of the Commissioners Court, or the Drainage District Board, who's also the Commissioners Court, to the voters is they've actually passed a resolution that corresponds with the bond order that says these are the projects we're going to do with this bond money, number one. And number two, we're not going to fund the Raymondville Drain portion unless the federal government commits to paying 90%. And so that's an assurance to the voters that, number one, the projects will be done, and number two, that tax rate will not increase because of the participation of the federal government, except to the extent of the $94 million portion.
We want the community to know and appreciate the fact that we do live in a valley. If we don't address this drainage problem, it's going to stay here, and one of these days our luck may run out whenever we start looking at our TV stations and the weather report during hurricane season, and we start looking at the tracking that's occurring, and up to now we've been very fortunate. The last big one was in 1967. But, you know, that's 45 years ago. If we had built this Raymondville Drain project in 1969, it would have cost us $11 million. If we had built it in 1976, it would have cost us $196 million. If we build it now, it's going to cost us about $250 million. It's not going to get any cheaper. We need to start addressing it, and you know, we feel the time's now.
You know what, I think one of the big recent eye-openers for a lot of people, I know it was for me, the use of the floodway during our last big event. I think people realized, wow. I'm sure you've looked at things that could happen to McAllen if we were to get a direct strike. What parts, I mean, could we see possibly the mall or the airport? Or?
Well, yeah, well, that's interesting, right? Because really we have two drainage basins here, and we call it the Mission Ridge. It runs around the expressway, and all the rain that comes expressway south actually drains south, and it's gathered through the Hidalgo Drain and the floodway system out to the Arroyo Colorado. Then everything north of the expressway really is, by design, flows north. It's in what they call the Rio Grande Basin. So we have two different distinct issues, and it's very important that some of these projects recognize that we do have both, and so some of these projects are dedicated to the south portion that would drain to the Arroyo Colorado through the Hidalgo Drain system, at least for McAllen. So yeah, that's important to look at, because when you have something going on in Mexico, northern Mexico, and all that water is coming down the river, you have to make sure that you can also get that water, if we have a local rainfall in the southern part of our areas, over the levee and into that levee and out to the Gulf of Mexico. So you could have a torrential rain in South McAllen, for instance, or Don, or anything that's south of the expressway, and have a flood situation without really having anything happen around that vicinity. And so there are improvements here that will address that.
Very good. Following Hurricane Katrina, there was a focus on levees everywhere, and I know that we looked at levees here in our area. Where are we with the levee situation?
Well, if you'll remember Hurricane Alex, we didn't get much rain here in the valley. Most of that rain fell in northern Mexico. And the river, the Rio Grande River, serves the same purpose as to Mexico as it does to us. So all that water flowed into the river, overflowed into the levees. But the levee system had been worked on thanks to the federal government doing it beginning, I believe, in 2008. There was an investment of $200 million by the federal government and $60 million by the county of Hidalgo, and together they were able to work on the levees. And for those of you that were able to drive to the beach and look at that waterway underneath the bridge between Weslaco and Mercedes, full of water. That was not water that fell in the valley. That was Mexican water making its way to the bay, and the levees held. If we had not worked on those levees, you know, we would have had almost, I think, what was it, about a third of the county would have been underwater.
Wow. Very good.
So the levees worked. That was the flood of the century for as far as the levee system, and it held.
It held.
Very good. Now, if people would like more information about this bond referendum, where can they go find more information or possibly talk to somebody about it?
Well, you know, we have that website, and I think
hddrainage.org, I understand.
Yes, I mean, they can go ahead and find out that information there, or they can call us at the county judge's office, 318-2600. Do it the old-fashioned way. Pick up the phone and get a live person talking to you.
All right, very good. And I'm sure you want to encourage everybody to go out there and vote, right?
Go out there and vote. Early voting starts then, and it'll be on the same ballot as the national and state and local elections. It'll be probably at the bottom, so if you vote straight ticket, make sure you keep voting and vote for this election. Is really important. Okay,
I also heard that you can vote for this bond referendum at the same place you early voted on Election Day. Is that
That's correct.
Okay.
So all at the same place. So you don't have to go any place different.
Yes, it'll be the same ballot. When you vote for the president, that'll be the top of the ticket. Then you go into your school boards. If you have an election, you go into the cities if you have an election. And at the bottom will be the bond referendum. So don't leave without voting on that issue.
All right. And this, once again, this is all about protecting valuable infrastructure for our region, not just for McAllen, but for the whole area encompassed in that drainage district, right?
Yeah, and human beings too, not only infrastructure. It's a public purpose for this bond election, believe me.
It's about lives and infrastructure and the future of our valley.
Yes.
Very good.
That's correct.
Anything we're leaving out?
No, just go out and vote. It's really important.
All right. Very good. Commissioner Darling, Judge Garcia, thank you so much.
Thank you,
We
Ray.
appreciate it. And once
Thank you,
again, we're
Ray.
going to be posting more information about this on our website, McAllen.net. You'll find a link to hcdrainage.org. We thank you for watching. I'm Ray Pedraza, and this is the McAllen Cable Network.